Hello, my sewing friends. Let's talk about Vogue 1312, a Lynn Mizono design. I'm Jen, and this is my sewing room where I made this. This is Vogue 1312. It is a Lynn Mizono design. It is a beautiful dress with such an interesting skirt that really is what makes the dress. And you can do it in two ways. You can do it with no sleeves, or you can do it with long sleeves. You can also, if you're gonna do it this way, with the sleeves, you can make the bodice in a contrast and use a knit, a heavy knit, like a wool knit or a double knit, but you can do that. Or you can just use the same fabric. It does take a lot of fabric. It takes 4.5 yards for the sleeveless version, and then at least 5 and probably 3/4 for the version with the long sleeves. I didn't have that much fabric, and so mine isn't as long as this one, which is essentially a maxi. And I did that, I used less fabric by shortening the border that's at the bottom. Now let me explain with this dress. It's rated easy. And to look at this skirt, you would not think that that's going to be easy, but it's not hard. Really, all this dress is a bodice and the skirt, and then the border at the bottom of the skirt. The skirt is cut in a square with, you know, the center opening for the bodice. And when you fold it in half, you have kind of a rectangle with that, you know, cut out for the bodice in the center. So you sew the side seams together, obviously, and then you put this border, which is about probably, it's a good, probably 16 inches, around the edges of that skirt. And because it's square, what you get is an effect that's kind of like a fitted sheet with the elastic corners, the way that it hangs. It's so interesting. That's the thing that grabbed me about this dress. I have looked at other things that Lynn Mizono has done, and I've been really intrigued. So I don't know, I may try some more of her patterns in the future. I've kind of gotten interested in that, you know, architecture of a design and it being a little bit off. Normally I just like style lines, but this is cool. Okay, well, the saga of this dress. I didn't have enough fabric, and I love this blue shirting. It is a cotton tencel, I think it's either tencel or lyocell blend. It's a shirting, and I love it. I love the color. It's kind of a denim washed color with a white stripe going through it. Well, I didn't have enough, so I cut that bottom band considerably shorter. So my dress is only about mid-shin. So it's not a full maxi. It's more like a midi or a T-length maybe. And so I got it all done. This does call for a zipper up the side, and the bodice didn't fit. And I didn't know what to do about that. So I went back in and kind of fiddled with it a little bit. The bodice, it calls for a lining. And so I had done that, but I had to end up taking out the zipper and going in and putting little darts right here. And I still could not get the bodice where I felt comfortable in it and it fit. So I ended up taking it apart, and I didn't have any more fabric. And I thought, well, maybe I can get some more. Well, I looked and looked and looked, and this fabric came from Joann Fabrics, and it has been discontinued. So I found one piece of it on Etsy, and when it got to me, it was damaged, and so that wasn't gonna work. So what I ended up doing was kind of going with plan B, as recommended by my friend Trish. She said, you know, I think I could see a contrast with that if you went with like a yellow. I found this calico cotton at my local quilt shop, and I love it. I love the effect I got. I just think it's beautiful. Two reasons. I wanted to pull this into the whole design of the dress and kind of marry it somehow, you know, kind of make it look like it was supposed to be that way. And so I took this fabric. I only got a yard of it. I had enough for the bodice, and I believe, no, I lined it with something else, but I used part of it to make a band. This is just a little, about a 2.5 inch band on the bottom of the skirt. So it kind of tied it all together. And I really like that effect. I did add pockets to the dress. I used some of that damaged fabric to do it. And I decided to make the bodice out of another pattern that I have. That pattern is the Tessuti Eva dress. That bodice fits me like a dream. Well, you can see it really fits me nicely. I used it for another dress too that had a bodice like this, and the bodice on the pattern didn't fit, so I used this bodice again. Well, I got it done, and I had a look at it, and I thought, this just looked too plain right here. I didn't want to, again, compete with the drape of the skirt because that's really the star of this dress. But I wanted to finish this off a little better. So all I had left were bias strips of the blue fabric, and I took them and I made a tube that ended up being about 1 inch wide. I just stitched it down, turned it inside out, kind of like you would, I don't know, a tie. And I started here and I went around and hand stitched it to the waistline, covering the waistline. And what I did was I would go about 2 or 3 inches, and then I would twist it, and then I would go another 2 or 3 inches, twist it. So that's what this is. It's a twisted trim, essentially, a twisted bias strip. And I love the effect. I think this finishes it off really nicely. So overall, it turned out to be a huge success, and I should have known that it would eventually, because a lot of times with my huge failures, they do end up being huge successes if I pay attention long enough. So this pattern is rated easy. And so if I were to talk to a beginner about using this pattern, I think you probably should be an advanced beginner unless you've already lined something. It's really easy to do lining. You just make 2 of the thing, and then you stitch the neckline, and then you can do the burrito method with a sleeveless bodice. If you don't have a sleeveless bodice, even easier. And then, then you just stitch down the side seams. I do have a video about that where I made a little girl's dress that I will link up here. And on that front, if you are uncomfortable with learning how to do that, then I would say, you probably aren't quite far along enough. But if you are up for a challenge and you're making your way to be an advanced beginner, then I think you'd be just fine. So anyway, I can recommend it highly. I think it's a great dress. I don't know if I'll make it again because now I already have this one. But I think if I needed an interesting dress, I would make it again. I don't know, I'm the kind of person that says, okay, I've done that now, what else can I do? What else is out there? So I love the dress. I feel like it was a huge success. I think it's probably one of my huge favorites that I've made in the last couple of years. And so that's my story of the saga of the Mizono dress, as it will be called in the future in my closet. If you have any questions about this, just let me know, and I will link the pattern below. It is in the books. And that's it for now for me. So I will see you next time. Thanks for watching, and God bless you. He loves you so much.